Hello everybody and welcome to another list video. It's been a while since we've done an art video, and we're here doing, as you can see, an art video. Our top 5 enemy art, which is just all the art on enemy cards. This one's very subjective, probably even arguably the most subjective list videos we have. So, you know, let us know in the comments what your favorite enemy arts are, and we'll dive in with Bren's number 5, which is...
Chica Roja.
Yeah, it's Carmen San Diego. That's where in the world she is now. It's in this card game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trapped here forever.
Yes.
Painted on a picture.
Well, until whatever next thing it is that they're like, hey, you know, it's a really cool aesthetic, a woman in a red coat with a big hat.
Yeah. So they're just, so that's what you're saying, like in like the meta sense, she is, her current location is whatever her most recent property
whatever
that
the
she
most
exists
recent
in.
property that she exists
Okay,
in.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't actually care for the card itself, but like the artwork's sick.
Oh yeah, we're not caring at all about the cards. I mean, well, maybe like because an emotional attachment to some of them might help influence,
yeah,
but yeah, but not so much for the majority of them here.
Yeah. What, is Carmine a shade of red?
Yeah.
What kind of red?
I'm gonna say kind of Odie.
Like the dog?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah, so like I know he looks black and white on the outside, but he's red on the inside.
Yeah, I know it's
we all
red.
are.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna look up the color Carmine because I actually don't know. Carmine Falcone.
This has got to be one of the last synonyms for red that they looked up.
That's just a dark red.
Okay.
Here it is, dark red.
That's not the color of her coat.
It's pretty close, actually.
No, hers is brighter.
Hers is brighter, but it's
Especially
also
considering
darker.
the lighting.
You know,
it's because you can't see the lights off stage.
it's true. Yeah, if I had a light popping on this,
Yeah,
it would look a bit
it
different.
would.
Yeah.
Sure.
My number 5 is just a nice, simple, classic Thrall. So, what I like about, to me, what makes a good enemy, number 1 is, it doesn't work for this one, but if it's funny, right? If the enemy is funny, it makes me laugh, it gets some bonus points, but this one's not that.
I mean, it kind of is. She has way too many triceps.
It is funny, the plight she's going through and being turned into a monster. But what I like about what I also like is when it's like a dynamic pose that is actually kind of menacing, right? So like you walk into a room, this lady is transforming, she turns and lashes out to you. It's like painting that picture through the dynamics of the art. It's a lot more exciting than just like if she was just standing there like this. But like her back's towards you, she's looking over her shoulder, the lighting is coming in from the other side of her, makes the piece of art actually kind of just like more interesting to look at. The enemy itself is like legitimately one of the least scary enemies you can draw in Dunwich. It's just like most of the time,
Like in the game, man.
yeah, it could just like be there
nothing.
and just like I don't care about you. You're just not even going to be there. But the art, I think, does a really good job of making this enemy more memorable than it actually is for me when I play. Because I'm like, oh yeah, Thrall, I love this art. And that's what happened when I was looking through the art today. I was like, oh yeah, I love Thrall. Even though she's just a 2/2/2 that like doesn't do much.
Hits for 2.
Yeah.
That's much more in depth than I thought this was going to be. I thought this was just going to be a Warcraft joke.
I mean, yeah.
You know.
No, who do I like? What's his name again? Rhaegar.
You like
I like
Rhaegar.
Rhaegar. Fight me.
Yeah,
know?
not Earth Shatter Might. No, that's his Rhaegar too, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my bad. I don't know which orc is which. They all look the same to me. I'm
True.
a terrible person.
Travis, your number 5 is...
It's the Piper of Azathoth.
This is good art, too.
It is nice art. It's very appropriate art for like what the card's trying to depict. And just like a mess of mouths and pipes. And it's like a suitable... not reward, but not really a consequence either of having the demonic pipings all show up. Suitable conclusion, I guess. Because not only is the card like scary, but the art is like actually horrifying.
Yeah. What I like about this card especially is that he is the bagpipe. You know, like he's playing himself. I think that's...
He is the piper, yeah.
That is pretty, it's pretty clever. It's a good interpretation of this kind of thing.
It's also very nice that they worked in like other aspects of Azathoth into the art of it with like the mouths and sort of the pipes coming out aren't necessarily like technically like he is, but they are like very similar to the protrusions that Azathoth has, and then there's the tentacles themselves, of course.
Gotta have that tentacle.
Yeah.
Tentacly.
Yeah, this could be like a Primus cover.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Probably on a single, not on the album
No,
itself.
no,
The album
no.
itself is probably like made out of cheese or something. Like, I don't know, it's gonna be weird. But
Yeah. All right, Bren.
it's the kind of music he plays.
It is. Yeah.
It's not.
It is.
These toots.
Bren, your number 4 is.
Oh, I got the Aquatic Abomination. I forget this guy exists every time
I did
until
right
somebody
now.
draws it, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" Like,
It is an abomination.
it's like a whale, but it's not because
It's furry.
It's furry. It's got arms.
yeah,
got, like,
like
bird
there's like
feet.
way
It's
too
got
much going
legs.
on
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Its teeth don't really work.
No, they do.
Like, not that great.
Perfectly.
Don't you want them, like, curving back to keep food in your mouth?
No, you want them pointing out so then you can stab into things when you're swimming at it really fast.
Okay.
Probably.
Like a.
Like a
It's
narwhal.
like tusks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like coming
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
I mean, I think this guy's not like. I
That
think this
seems
guy
like a not great angle for that because you'd have to like have your mouth open.
Yeah.
to
No,
stab
I think
them.
this guy's
Yeah.
like on his last legs. Like these things are born and then they die within a day. They're like flies.
Okay.
You know, they're just like they just slip out of a hole or something.
How do they how do they live?
They just slip out of a hole.
Oh, they just.
Yeah, there's just a hole they come out of, and
doesn't
everyone's like, "That's they
everything.
can like cover it." Everything does, I guess, come out of a hole in some sense, but this one's like a hole in the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, not like a hole in a.
And the deep one's
Yeah.
like, we'll just put the rock on top of that.
And then the next day, the rocks moved over, and then like another one's crawling out, and they're like,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, he's just clearly built out of leftover parts and
Yeah, I would like to see. I would like to see the full art to see what this guy's cooking further down. I want to see his tail.
I think it's just a basic whale tail.
I think so, but I want to see it. You know, because there's always little surprises waiting in the full art.
Maybe it's an extra claw.
yeah, he's like almost some sort of whale centaur here. Where like he's got like you can see like ribs
Yep.
and then a second rib cage.
Yep.
That is
Yeah, he is.
clearly not properly connected to the first one. So
Yeah.
it's like two different rib cages.
Yeah.
You can see he's got like knees coming out of his legs, and
Yeah.
you can't really tell if those are like bipedal like humans are, or if they are like.
That's why I want to see the full art.
Okay.
Could you imagine if there was just like 2 human feet at the bottom? That would be an abomination.
It would,
for
yes.
It
Sure.
would be.
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy shows up and he's like, I'm not even worth victory, and you're like, that's great, it's the last scenario, you don't need to be.
Yeah. He is the like he's like. It is one of those things where he shows up every time and you're like, oh shit, this is the mindless dancer of that scenario. But then you're like, still, the mindless dancer of that scenario end up being like, this guy's actually like usually not too much of a
There's only
problem.
There's only one of them.
Yeah. there's
Yeah,
only
you can
one.
also just like kill him because the rest of the scenario doesn't put any
Yes.
pressure on you.
Yeah, he's just like
It's true.
time to
Just,
die,
like,
brother.
kick you in the
Or
ribs
just like
every other card
evade him,
you draw.
like he has 2 foot, right? Like even
Like
then.
you draw him, and the other 2 people in your team draw cards that do like basically nothing. It's not like where it's not like mindless dancers where one person draws him, second person draws mindless dancer, the other person's like, you want the coin or the slap, and you're like,
This fucking hit me,
Sure,
man.
that scenario is like maybe
Pretty
not a
soft.
great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my number 4 is I had to put a Gug on this
Gug.
list, and there's honestly actually like pretty good. There's the dumb Gug from Dream Eaters who's drooling. That
Yep.
was close, but then I got to this Gug, and this is like I love the colors, right? Like the green background from the marsh. The red in his claws and in his mouth, it just like pops on the screen. And Gugs are like scary enemies. In just like the idea of them, right? Like just the vertical mouth creatures walking towards you with 4 claws.
the 4 arms come in the same elbow joint.
Yeah. I also like Gugs. If you watch our channel, there's a friend of mine named James. He's terrified of Gugs. And anytime he thinks of something scary, I'm like, James, think of something scary. Like the first or second thing is just a Gug appears in his head. So I have that kind of, relationship with Gugs as well.
Edition.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, they're scary motherfuckers. And I think the art on this one really does a good job of representing a scary sort of Gug. Yeah. Gugs rule.
Dogs are cool.
They also have a great name, Gug. Who would have thought, like,
simple.
they fucking, like Lovecraft's like, I don't know, a Gug, vertical mouth, and then here we are, like, we're like, years later being like, we like Gugs,
Dogs are cool, man.
Gugs are cool. Yeah, they're sick. All right, Travis, your number 4 is...
It's Robert Friendly. I like this art a lot because I think it's very evocative of Innsmouth as a place and the people who live there, even the ones who are like relatively normal. Like, this is just a normal day in Innsmouth, right? It's rainy, it's shitty, it's gray. There's this guy, he hates his life, but he can't go anywhere else because in 10 years he's going to turn into a fishman.
Yep.
And then what's he going to do, you know? And he can't go inland because then there's no fish people to hang out with.
Yeah.
And he's just one of the guys around town. It's just it's very Innsmouthy art.
I think this is it's very true with what you said. It's really good in like
It really
making you
sets
think
the
of
tone.
Innsmouth. It's like also like Sorted and Silent in Dunwich, right? You're
Yep.
just like, oh, this is like what it's like in the backcountry out here, and I feel like that's kind of what's missing. I don't know. I just feel like in like the art of it too, because it's true. It's made me realize like I love Innsmouth as a location, but maybe it's just because I don't like Antarctica as a location, and like none of the locations in like Scarlet Keys felt like I was there. You know, except for maybe the Alaska one.
Well, I mean, for Edge of the Earth and the Antarctic stuff, they could have definitely like pushed more towards like the desolation and the quiet of Antarctica instead of like leaning into the snowy disasters part of it. Like all those hazards are like whiteouts and stuff like that. Those could have been cards that were like, you know, like deafening silence or something like that because the snow and the ice absorbs all the sound.
Yeah.
That would have probably gone a long ways towards saying the scene there.
Or like that weird thing that happens at night when it's snowy, and like the moon makes it like really eerily bright at nighttime when it's reflecting off all the snow. But something like that could have been cool too.
Yeah, I think like having art like this on this opening scenarios is really important towards saying the sort of tone for the campaigns, where you also see it in the Forgotten Age.
Yep.
Those early jungle locations and like the snakes, they're just snakes.
Yeah. And like even like the all the death traps in the caves, like all the people who've died in these caves before, like the temples.
Yep. And like in Carcosa as well, like those early scenarios that don't have a lot of pressure and you get to just kind of like explore the world a little bit. Yeah, sometimes a layer, I guess, like Blood on the Altar is 4. Right?
Yep.
But yeah, they really I think it's really important for making the scenarios feel like the locale they're trying to.
Definitely. Because like it's one of those things that like we generally don't stop and like we don't read the flavor text as a group when we play, and we don't like acknowledge the pictures, being like, look at this moody man standing against the pier, right?
Well, yeah,
but it's like one of those things that
notice
just happens. It just happens. Yeah. All right. Bren, I hope, man, it'd be so funny if after this it was just leg of Achlanaka for Bren. Bren, your number 3 is?
It's Brotherhood Cultist. This is like the scariest single piece of art in the game. Because this guy shows up and you're like, it's scenario 2, I ain't got shit.
3 health?
How am I going to kill this guy?
Yeah.
You draw him and you're like, well, that might be tough. And the guy next to you draws 2-2 on the guy and you're like...
You're like, I can deal with this guy. And then, no, I can't.
He does go 0 to 100 very quickly.
Yeah.
It does.
But,
One thing I like about this too is that the horror that this guy deals and like the art is definitely implying the thing that this man's actually like beating you in a battle of wits. You know, like you're trying to punch him and he's like, really, you know, may I tell you about the Brotherhood? You know, like it's one of those things.
Yeah, but you encounter him later and you just got a great big hammer and you smash his head in and he's like,
no.
Actually, and I'm like,
Yeah.
One thing I do like about this art over like the basic
Chocolates.
cultist art, or the basic cultist art is very good for like just general cultists.
Yeah.
But this like really emphasizes the fact that the cultists are just like, they're just people.
Yep.
It's just like a guy reading.
They're just, that could put Diana Stanley's face in there.
Yeah, like this guy, he might not even be reading like anything occult or something like that. He could just be reading like an Ernest Hemingway novel or something. He's just, that's the way he does in the evenings.
Yeah.
no, what he's got is like your checkbook and he's like,
He's a little weird. that
really?
he's,
You paid this
wears
much?
the hood, but
I mean, if
it
I
does
had
look a little bit like a ledger.
if I get initiated into a cult and I had a hood,
Yeah.
I'd be wearing that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be like a little cowlier than that, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like official functions, but at no other time.
Also, I just like I think the artist the artist for this one I know some other stuff she's done because she posts a lot on ArtStation, which is where I get the majority of the stuff for my thumbnails. I also love the lamp in this one. It's like a really good, like the whole thing, it just
The lighting is
works
very
all
good.
across from left to right. Yeah. All right. My number 3 is Corrupted Orderly. Spider-Mouth.
One of your top arts, huh?
Oh yeah, I love Spider-Mouth because it's creepy, right?
It is, yeah.
That's one of those things, right? Like
It does make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, you just find out that's why I'm wearing the mask all the time.
Yeah.
Because, like, I got a spider mouth.
Yeah. Like the art
Keeps the
itself.
spiders in.
Yeah, it does.
It's not, but it doesn't blow me away. It doesn't set the scene, but it is like one of those like actual like unsettling arts when you like it paints that picture in your head as well and pushes it a bit further, where the dude is now like actually like being piloted by the spider because he's like being like a puppet hung up on the strings. And I also like I like horror properties and like I like the horror part of Arkham, and I feel like that has kind of not really been a thing. Like I understand, like, you know, them commissioning new art for First Aid, but I also like the grody ass like wound art that existed in the original, you know, because this is a horror game and it should be like a little bit scary. It should kind of make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, right?
It's in the name.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where, and like this is I think one of the few cards that kind of like can give you the smallest sense of dread. It's not going to make you like scream and run out of the room unless you're like actually like arachnophobic, but it's actually kind of like creepy. Like this guy who was like bothering you the whole time, suddenly you just picture like out of his mouth, like as Bren's going to be doing at the end of this video, and like it actually is like the horror part of Arkham Horror.
Yeah, it like plays very nicely from the builds like its own little narrative as well that supports the story in that first scenario quite a bit, where you have like the suspicious orderly and like, oh, why is he suspicious? And he just hangs out and kind of annoys you, like you mentioned. And later, you know, the spiders are appearing. He's got a spider in his mouth. And you're like,
yeah. And this also like goes back to what we were talking about Robert Friendly. Also, those Dream Eaters as well does a really good job of setting like the scene for both hands. Yeah. All right, Travis, your number 3 is.
It's the Beast and the Cowl of Crimson. So this art like is really, really let down by like everything in this campaign. But
yeah, it does look it goes way harder than the rest of the campaign.
But it is so good for like the character that they tried to build. Especially when they're like your first not missive, your first like message you get or whatever when you're reading the dossier. First dossier they're reading, they're like, there's a guy here in Alexandria who's like fucking shit up. Like, you need to come help fix it now. Right? Like, requesting immediate help. And you get there and set up the scenario, or like, and this guy's there, you like look there, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's breaking the city. Right? Stuff's on fire. He's a beast in a cowl crimson. He's clearly humanoid. But like, you know, you got those little claws sticking out. He's clearly not human.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the correct, you know, arrangement of limbs and whatnot.
Yeah. Just little check boxes. Yeah. 4. All right. Okay.
Yeah. No, and like the torn and tattered red, like really fits the cowl description well. Like crimson is a nice bright red in the parts that are illuminated by the flames, and like it flows so nicely with the wind and the fire coming out of the buildings, and it really is like a brilliant piece of art that wasn't delivered on, unfortunately.
I've said this before, and I'll say it every time this motherfucker pops up. In the original, when they did all the teaser dossiers about all the characters, this was the one that was like I was the most hyped about, because it was implied that this guy has been in Alexandria for thousands of years, right? Or like hundreds of years. It's just a long period of time, basically a non-human amount of time.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this motherfucker's a vampire. And the art is really like dynamic as well, right? Like he's like looking at you and he's like, you're like, oh, did you do this? And he's like, yes, I did this. And then you just, my only actual memory of him is Bren tripping him down the stairs over and over again.
I mean, even that's like leaving a trail of destruction. Like, after you fail a skill test while at his location with his raid, shifts each touch keys, that's garbage. There's nothing to do. Like, this guy should have been like, when he moves into a location, he shifts each of his keys, and each person at that location takes a damage.
Yeah.
Or each other like enemy and person and investigator at that location takes a damage.
Yeah.
That would have been sick.
He's a
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like when he readies, he just eats his keys and then does damage and moves or something like that. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he doesn't really do very much. I can tell you that from first-hand experience.
Yeah. I mean, like, he
He can't
is...
get out of his own basement.
Like, he is somewhat... He's probably the one that you're, like, maybe him and Amaranth, who you're more scared of in the final scenario when they show up throughout the deck and all that. But even
Not
then...
all at once.
Yeah.
Definitely scary when he shows up all at once.
Yes. Yeah. Whoopsie!
Yeah.
All right. Bren, your number 2 is...
Oh, we got the avian Thrall. He's just like this cool bird guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like... Yeah, he's...
It's an avian Thrall. You look at that and you're like, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's
that is what
a
it is.
bird that has been corrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's like also kind of like iconic enemy for the... It's like him and the Whippoorwill.
Yeah, him, Whippoorwill, and the balls, the conglomeration of spheres. Those are like the 3 I think of.
The conglomeration. I think of the guy that's like beats Justin to death with
With
a
the
lead
pipe,
pipe.
yeah, the mobster?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did think about picking him. I'm
that's-
like, he looks like what he does.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but this one is definitely one of the enemies that gives Dunwich. It's probably Dunwich because it's American. Its unique feel of like, I can't just bring whatever weapon I want. I've got to tailor. I mean, like the conglomeration of spheres does that too, where if it's not ranged firearm or asset, you get to use it one time.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that.
Yeah, and I think that's cool.
It annoyed me, like, when we first were playing and our collections were so small. But at this point now, we got to see more of this, baby.
Yeah.
It's a great card.
I wouldn't mind this being the way that they try to make like guns not suck.
Yep.
It's just like enemies that are hard to hurt if you're like trying to throw a brick at them or whatever.
Yeah.
Or hit them with a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I really like about this card's art that you don't see too much otherwise is, like, it fits very well into sort of the unsettling almost reality that a lot of the Lovecraft works are supposed to sort of depict, where most of the enemies in the game fit into the like 2 camps of either being like guys, like humans, or like clearly fantastical monsters. You know, things like the Beast of Aldebaran, and I guess there's a third that's like literally just animals, which is like grizzly bear and like the snakes and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like this is like
No, those aren't real.
It lives between them.
That's like the fantastical almost reality. Grizzly bears aren't real.
you live in Canada. You've probably seen one in real life in the wild. You monkey, you've been hiking. I know you've been backpacking. You've seen a grizzly bear in real life. Anyway, this guy is like...
He's between animal and
like
Abomination,
it's like a perversion of nature, which is something you don't see in the Shoggoths or the Dark Young is like a little bit more, I guess, because they're kind of tree-like. But, you know, like Thrall fills that that void too.
Did you see the crab that they spoiled for Hemlock Vale?
I've seen it at some point.
Is it just a crab?
No, it's like a scary crab.
Okay.
It's like a scary crab.
Right.
Yeah.
Like an ergot crab, not
So.
like a giant enemy crab god.
Yeah. I feel like
Gotcha.
I'm curious with what happens then, because that the whole thesis that is being proposed by Hemlock Vale is that it's nature getting like messed up, you know?
That makes sense.
So like a grizzly bear.
So like, because when a black bear turns brown, that's nature being perverted. My number 2 is Silas Bishop. All right. I'm going to talk about... So I've talked about what I like it dynamic. I've talked about what I've liked it scary. And this motherfucker is like the third thing that I actually feel like a lot of Arkham cards actually kind of fail to grasp, which is scale. This guy... You feel like you are like either like you're staring into the basement and this giant thing looking back at you, or you've opened a door into a barn and there's this guy towering above.
That's exactly what I was going to point out. This is really very sort of like emotional and scene setting for what's happening when you're in the basement. You can see that there's like the boards on the side.
Yeah.
You're creeping open the door and peeking in at this guy, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like you're not just barging into the room. You are you're scared. You're looking through the door.
Yeah, and he actually
crack in the door.
he's because of the Dutch angle and like the feel slightly lower. He's a bit bigger. There's like my favorite art in like one of my favorite arts in Magic is Progenitus, the original Progenitus, just because of the scale that card has. Yeah, they need birds for scale. It's true. But like this is something that this guy actually is like. It's just telling a complete story on just this card itself.
You got the chains coming out. Like he clearly could move. There's a reason that he's chained there, but also like he don't look like he can move.
No.
He's chained. He's got to be chained there for a different reason.
Yep. Yeah, I love Silas Bishop.
This is
I can honestly say I've never gotten any of that from playing against it, where it's just sort of like you show up and you like, so are we gonna beat this guy to death,
or walk in, walk out? Yeah. Hey Silas, bye Silas. Hey Silas. Yeah, no, definitely. I think on like the mechanical side, it does leave a little bit to be desired. But
open the door, you shoot him, you close the door.
Stop it, please, stop it. All right, Travis, your number 2 is
the High Priest of Hter. So this is an Arkham 2nd edition original art. It was used in 2nd edition and in Eldritch Horror, I think, for the Flute of the Elder Gods. Which honestly, this card art fits being a High Priest of Hter much better, I think, than the Flute of the Elder Gods. It's got those yellow tones. It's got the like it's clearly a normal guy, aside from the eye on his chest.
Yeah, if you just cover that up, that's just a dude.
Well, no, that's just Hter looking at you.
Yeah.
But also, you get the feeling he's inhuman. And it's got sort of this like flat, old fantasy art style to it.
Yeah, I mean that's like because it is from the old games, right? So like it does have that like old school. Yeah.
It really lends its own sense of creepiness to it.
Yep.
As opposed to like a lot of the new hyper realistic art that's like trying to depict something scary. Where this is again, the art style is like very flat. The colors are very modeled. It leaves out a lot of theoretical details that your brain can fill in on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree as well. It fits really well for Hter too, because like Hter's whole thing is like, what the fuck is happening under the mask and the cloak, right? And that's the same kind of thing that's evoking here in the art.
Especially in conjunction with the story from the story cards from Dim Carcosa. Like you have the background to see he's clearly in Dim Carcosa or something similar. He belongs there. You know, he's playing the flute along to whatever. He's playing the background music to whatever.
Well, it's like
happening.
It even like paints that picture. If you look at this art where he spawns, you're just like hanging out in Carcosa, and you just suddenly hear like ooh, doo, 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 like just some like flute being played, and then this guy's just like coming out with his flute, and he doesn't actually do anything. He's just like standing next to you, going like tweet, 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 tweet. But like you're like stop it, right? Like it does all that just like with the art in conjunction with everything else on him as well.
Yeah, it ties really nicely into the card effect as well, with the whole being like a Pied Piper sort of dealie.
Yep.
He's playing his flute, and eventually, if you are susceptible to the music, like you're done. You're in the band now.
And this motherfucker has 6 fists as well. I mean, I've only seen him like twice, right? But I forgot that this motherfucker.
He's got a third hand that's holding a gun.
Yeah. No, he's like surprised. Blow dart.
Yeah.
Just takes you out.
Yeah, I mean the part of this that to me is like clearly not human. I mean, this is just a sweet tattoo of an eye. That's
it's just
like,
that's just a graphic tee.
He's like I wanted to show you my tattoo.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's playing the flute, not with like it's not a mouth.
Yeah.
Whatever he's playing, like that's not where a mouth is.
See, to me, his like
that's not.
That's
right.
like a hood he's got on, and he's just got like a little hole. He's just like pushing the.
No, I mean, so like,
but it still seems a little bit low.
He's got like eyes, right, and then he's got like a nose.
Because like in theory, his mouth should be like
the nose.
It seems like a little bit too low.
Mouth should be like,
which does like
the flute actually it goes like this.
A classic, classic.
It's like a pipe kind of.
Right. We call those a whole 45-degree flute.
Yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
that's my bad.
It's also not really a flute. It's more like an oboe sort of dealie.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, like almost anything could be called a flute.
All right. Bren and I actually have the same number 1.
Oh, we do?
So we're gonna, we do.
What do you mean you do? You're here for it.
What?
You saw him put it
No, I mean, I've already
No,
forgot about what we talked about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
What video are we recording?
Top 5.
Who are you guys?
That's why you have it in big letters on the screen. It's for you.
Oh, it's for me. Thank God. Okay. All right. Bren and Mai's number 1 is the Ghoul Priest.
The Ghoul Priest. Yeah, he's just like this guy, you know?
It's very imposing.
He's like here to set the scene of my house because he's just like one of the guys who lives there.
Yeah.
He can't leave because in like 10 years he's going to turn into a deer guy, and then what is he going to do?
Yeah. Third roommate?
Your house is like some weird servid version of Innsmouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on fire like most of the time. So
I like him because he's like Cubone.
He is like
His
Cubone.
mom's
Yeah,
skull.
it is. Yeah. So this guy, I have a lot of emotional attachment to this motherfucker, because the first time he appeared, it was like a holy shit. You know, like, and you play Arkham and Eldritch, and like the enemies show up and they're scary, but like an enemy in Arkham Horror the card game, like this, when you see it for the first time, is completely different than any of those games. You're like, because in Eldritch and Arkham, you roll dice. You're like, I'm going to roll a bunch of D6s. But this guy, you're like, oh shit, we have to like think steps ahead of how we're going to do this. And we ended up just beating him to death with a baseball bat, which was great. But like, there's that like emotional attachment to it because it's just such a great, imposing pose of this like deer-headed cultist who is like, once again, isn't actually like, he's humanoid. Right? But he's kind of like skirting that line a bit. You know?
Yeah, he looks like a guy, especially like when you get to Center 2 and there's all the other cultists who are like him, but they're actually just normal people.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's got like the elongated fingers and like emaciated arms and stuff.
Yeah. And like it's like one of those things that like you go a bit further and it's like this dude, like he's like wearing that bone mask, but then like you think about it, like he's probably just like exactly that, a Cubone underneath, right? Like he's actually just like a ghoul that he's just like wearing a ghoul skull because he's like
a really tall ghoul.
Yeah, which I think is just really cool that all this comes up and hits this guy, and he's just like the enemy that I think of in this game, apart from like probably whippoorwills, just because whippoorwills are great. They're birds.
I really enjoy how the flavor text for this card is just the art description that they gave the artist.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I mean, it just like
It's just describing the art.
he's gonna come and get you. It's a good pose for the
actually in the
MF.
process of standing up.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's also like the first time I saw this card, there wasn't like a good way to get your fight better than 5.
Yeah.
So like retaliate dealing 2 and 2
Yeah.
was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you don't want to run that test. You're like, somebody's got to evade this guy, and everybody who can evade him's like, I don't have a good way to make my number.
You're schizo tool. You're like, I can get 2 money and then put it into my hard knocks to hit him 5-4.
Yeah, right. Like it was a different
turn.
time.
Yeah.
These
5
days it's sort of
times
like
to
6 or
cover my
7.
damage.
That's like pretty baseline, isn't it?
Yeah. 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 Now at this point now,
But,
like I
he's
mean,
still pretty
even at
chunky
level 0,
health-wise.
but
Yeah, he's got a lot of hit points.
a bad like an autofail on attacking this guy will ruin your day.
Yeah.
Even like well prepared.
That's fine. That's how Arkham be.
That's how Arkham be, and that's how Arkham should be. I love the Ghoul Priest.
Yeah.
All right, Travis, why don't you close out this video with your number 1, which is
Brown Jenkins. Look at the little rat guy. This is another one of those really clear perversions of nature, especially if you've seen the full art with the feet and the tail, and it's really uncomfortable, actually.
Yeah, it is.
This is like a rat that either has been like transformed into a human, or like a guy who has been transformed most of the way into a rat.
Yeah.
Like there's the very clear, like you got the big teeth and like the blood around it is clearly animalistic, but you look closer and those ears are almost human. The eyes are very human. The nose is still animal like, but like, and then moving further down the body, the arms, like you can see the pectoral muscles, and like the fingers are like obviously human.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very uncomfortable thing to imagine, and it makes you want to stuff into a bag and beat it against the wall.
For some clue tokens, yeah.
No, just in general, to like.
don't have to be even getting anything. Like,
Yeah, I just don't want it in play.
Can I ask a question? Which Brown Jenkins do you like more? This one or the other one they use, the original one they use, where it's the man's face biting the guy's heel? He's like, ah, 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 ah. Brown Jenkins. Because they're both great interpretations.
They are both great interpretations.
This one's really nice.
I think this one's better for like the card of Brown Jenkins, because like that wouldn't be great for like a rat attack card or something. But
yeah, I mean it works for the one when he jumps out and bites you, right? Like that's what it's used for.
This is good, just like as a depiction of Brown Jenkins, though.
Yeah, 100%.
And like he looks like even though he looks vicious, you can see the pain in his eyes, man.
Oh yeah.
He's not having a good time being an immortal rat guy.
Yeah, that's because this is the third time today.
Yeah, she's
that
like,
he's been put into
that's him screaming because Lily's coming around the corner. He's like, ah! Please, God, no!
What's her face? And that face is like, you gotta get out there and get it out of the house. And he's like, they're gonna put me in a sack.
And she's like, get in there!
He's coming around the corner like, I got the pillowcase already.
That's why he's aloof, because just like, no, God, please. Oh. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. It's been a while since we've done an art video, but I hope you enjoyed this one. It actually was a longer video, too. I was expecting us to just breeze right through it, but we had a lot to say about Brown Jenkins. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one, and as always, a GG's.